أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum dear students. I hope that all of you and your loved ones should be doing fine and enjoying good health and have enjoyed the Eid al-Adha in the best possible way. Though because of the corona situation, most of the people couldn't celebrate this event of Eid al-Adha in the vivid ways. On today's lecture, we will talk about one of the most significant treaties regarding arms control and disarmament. In our previous lecture, we tried to have a brief overview of the range of treaties and agreements that were signed between the member states of the United Nations at different times to achieve the objective of disarmament for securing international, for preserving international security and peace. So in our today's discussion, we will talk about one of the most significant treaties in the context of arms control and armaments, and that is the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Before we get into the discussion related to the various articles and of this treaty and the obligations regarding the implementation of the various articles of the NPT, we would try to have a brief critical overview of the Treaty of Nuclear Non-Proliferation first, and then we will get into a detailed discussion of this renowned treaty. The Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons is also known as the NPT, is a landmark international treaty. So first of all, it is not just confined to a specific region, rather it is a worldwide treaty. It is a global and international treaty whose objective is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and weapons technology. And the key objective behind this is to promote cooperation in the peaceful uses of the nuclear energy and to further the goal of achieving nuclear disarmament and general and complete disarmament. In the previous lecture, we also talked about that very objective of partial and complete disarmament and the feasibility of such an enterprise, the feasibility of achieving such a goal. This treaty represents the only binding commitments in a multilateral treaty to the goal of disarmament by the nuclear weapon states. So there are two terminologies which are commonly used in most of the clauses of this NPT treaty. One is the nuclear weapon states represented with NWS, and the other is the non-nuclear weapon states represented with NNWS. This treaty was opened for signature in 1968. We can say that it was signed in 1968, but the treaty entered into force, or it became fully operational in 1970. On 11th May 1995, the treaty was extended indefinitely, and in the later discussion of today's lecture, we will talk about this particular article of this treaty, which requires the member states to call for a conference to decide about, after 25 years, to decide about the fate of this treaty of NPT, whether it should be extended or it should be cancelled. So on 11th May 1995, the treaty was extended indefinitely. It is this treaty almost has a universal membership, as more than 190 states are members to this treaty, including the 5 nuclear weapon states such as the United States, Russia, China, France, and the United Kingdom. More countries have ratified the NPT than any other arms limitation and disarmament agreement, a testament to treaty's significance. So the almost universal membership of this treaty also highlights the significance of this treaty, as almost all the member states around the globe are parties to this treaty. This treaty is regarded as the cornerstone of the global nuclear non-proliferation regime and an essential foundation for the pursuit of nuclear disarmament. As we mentioned earlier, that it was designed to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons, so to further the goals of nuclear disarmament and general and complete disarmament, and also to promote cooperation in the peaceful uses of nuclear energy. And further, to extend or further the objective of non-proliferation, and as a confidence building measures between state parties, the treaty establishes a safeguard system under the responsibility of the International Atomic Energy Agency, known as IAEA as well. These safeguards are used to verify compliance with the treaty through inspections conducted by IAEA. So this very organization of IAEA has been entrusted with the task of inspection of nuclear facilities of the NNWS states, And one of the examples of such an inspection is the case of Iraq. Before the US-Iraq war, the team of the IAEA inspected the facilities of Iraq and submitted its report. But the United States didn't bother about the findings of the IAEA and waged an attack against the Iraq. This treaty also promotes cooperation in the field of peaceful nuclear technology and equal access to this technology for all state parties, while safeguards prevent the diversion of physical material for weapon use. And further, under this very treaty of NPT, the five nuclear weapon states commit to pursue general and complete disarmament, while the non-nuclear weapon states agree to forego developing or acquiring nuclear weapons. So, in simple words, under this treaty, the nuclear weapon states signed to go for complete or general disarmament, and the non-nuclear weapon states were required to let go of their nuclear programs. And one of such example is the example of South Africa that forgo its nuclear program in 1990s. So now we will have a brief overview of the various articles of this Treaty of Nuclear Non-Proliferation. And we will focus more on the significant clauses of this treaty. Article 1 and 2 of the treaty commits the nuclear weapon states not to help non-nuclear weapon states develop or acquire nuclear weapons. So the first two articles of this treaty acknowledges that nuclear weapon states would not be allowed to transfer nuclear technology or to help non-nuclear weapon states to develop or acquire or achieve nuclear weapons. And on the other hand, the non-nuclear weapon states would permanently forswear the pursuit of such weapons. That means, like, the non-nuclear weapon states would forego their pursuit of acquiring nuclear technology permanently. Article 3 tasks the International Atomic Energy Agency with the inspection of non-nuclear weapon states' nuclear facilities. As we just mentioned, the right of the IAEA to inspect non-nuclear weapon states' nuclear facilities, Article 3 deals with that. And it can only inspect the nuclear facilities of the non-nuclear weapon states. The nuclear weapon states' nuclear facilities are exempted from this inspection. So, in one way, that shows the disparity or inequality. In addition, Article 3 establishes the safeguards for the transfer of fissionable materials between nuclear weapon states and non-nuclear weapon states, but only for the peaceful use of nuclear technology, not for weapon graded enrichment of the nuclear materials. Article 4 of this treaty acknowledges the inalienable right of non-nuclear weapon states to research, develop, and uses nuclear energy for non-weapon purposes. So, Article 4 deals with the peaceful use of nuclear energy. It also supports the fullest possible exchange of such nuclear-related information and technology between the nuclear weapon states and the non-nuclear weapon states. Article 5, on the other hand, deals with the which is now effectively obsolete. It only permits non-nuclear weapon states access to nuclear weapon states research and development on the benefits of nuclear explosions conducted for peaceful purposes. As the perceived utility of the peaceful nuclear explosions has diminished over time, the relevance of this clause has lost much of its practical value, as it is now moot due to the restrictions on all nuclear explosions mandated by the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, to which all 5 nuclear weapon states are signatories. So, Article 5 of this treaty has almost become obsolete because of the ban on all types of nuclear explosions which were mandated by the Treaty of Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, and all the permanent files of UN Security Council which also acquire nuclear weapons are the signatories of this treaty. Article 6 is considered as one of the most significant articles of this treaty, as it is about the obligations to implement the most of the clauses of this treaty. So, Article 6 commits the nuclear weapon states to pursue negotiations in good faith on effective measures relating to the cessation of the nuclear arms race at an early date and to nuclear disarmament, and on a treaty on general and complete disarmament under strict and effective international control. So this treaty is all about having negotiations between the nuclear weapon states and among the nuclear weapon states to have effective measures to achieve the objective of disarmament, a general disarmament and complete disarmament. So how it can be achieved, this is another very significant question that requires an extensive research to be made. So we would have a detailed discussion about Article 6 in our upcoming lectures because of its immense significance. Article 7 of this treaty allows for the establishment of the regional nuclear weapon free zone. So, in order to make various regions nuclear weapon free zone or nuclear free zones, Article 7 of this treaty deals with that. And Article 8 requires a complex and lengthy process to amend the treaty, effectively blocking any changes absent clear consensus. So, Article 8 deals with the process to amend the treaty, to make some changes in the treaty. Article 8 is purely related to this very process. And finally, the Article 10 establishes the terms by which a state may withdraw from the treaty, requiring a 3 months advance notice that should extraordinary events jeopardize its supreme national interest. So, this Article 10 of the NPT deals with the withdrawal procedures. If one state wants to withdraw from this treaty, first of all, it should move a 3 months notice uh, and prior to make a request for withdrawing from this very treaty of NPT. If its national interests are in jeopardy or in danger. So these are the various articles of this treaty which are very significant, and in our next lecture we will talk about the Article 6 and the various measures to implement the various clauses of the Article 6 because of its immense significance. So wish you all the best. And if you have any queries about this lecture, please feel free to write your queries to me through our WhatsApp group, and I would be quite happy to address your queries. So wish you all the best. See you for the next lecture. Allah Hafiz.